If you want your siege to go from this to this, and your rank to go from this to this, then here's a quick video with everything you need in your Rainbow Six Siege settings that can help your game look better and make it easier for you to rank up and hit champion. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to support my channel so I can keep making videos like this. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with the general settings. Ping you're going to leave on because this is easier for you to relay information to your teammates and to basically just know what they're talking about, especially if you're playing with random people and they don't call out much. There's really no reason to play with this off. Display performance metrics. This is actually preference. So if I press apply, not sure if you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. So right under my camera here, you can actually see that it's showing my FPS, GPU, ping, and what version of the game I'm running. So if I change that, that's minimal right there. You can still see it on the bottom of the screen. If I change it to advanced, then it's a little bit more, and you can just see like there's like a bar. It shows kind of like past history of it. So that's completely preference. I like to keep that off sometimes just because I like to clip things and it looks better without it in it. Connectivity feedback. This is preference as well. It's really just if you want to see icons, as you can see on the side, without the text, or if you want to see the text and the icon. So that's pretty much preference. Cycle inside camera groups. You want to leave this off so it's easier to swap between different cameras and information that you have, especially if you're running like a Maestro or a Valk, along with having the default cam. It's easier to swap between those without having to add an extra key to switch to something else. So next is diffuser pickup, and you're gonna have three options: automatic, manual, or both. This setting should be on both so that you can run on top of the diffuser and your character will automatically pick it up, as well as if the bomb is in a place where you can't sprint over it, you can simply just kind of use the long arm mechanic and just pick it up if it's not safe or if someone's holding an angle on the bomb. Visible throw trajectory, we're gonna leave that on so you're able to see where you're throwing gadgets, drones, nades, C4s, all types of things. It just makes the game easier. There's really no reason to have it off. If you turn it off, I don't know, maybe you're just a Chad. I guess that's cool. Drone after prep, this is preference. So we're gonna leave this on semi-automatic or on manual. I personally like to leave this on manual so I can choose when I want to get off the drone after prep phase, but some people do like to leave it on semi-automatic, which basically is if you're on a drone in prep phase and prep phase ends, you will still be on the drone after it is over. So I would say between semi-automatic and manual, but this is preference. Match replay you can leave on. Text chat, if you are a keyboard warrior and you type a lot and that makes you play bad, go ahead and leave this on team or disabled. I put this on all because I am not a keyboard warrior and I never type to anyone on the other team. Now moving on to HUD. Okay, this is all preference, and without even getting into this and explaining every single setting, I would recommend that you guys go ahead and do your own research and see what works for you and what you like on your screen, because it's really just how your screen looks when you are in game. So here we go, moving on to the good stuff. Audio setting. So dynamic range, this is one of the most important things that's in your audio settings. I have it right now on night mode, which I think is the best setting. So you have three options: hi-fi, which makes everything really loud. TV, I have no clue what TV does. I'm gonna be honest, just don't ever use this setting because no one's playing off of a TV. They're usually playing with the headset on, as you can see I have on right now. Night mode, this is the setting that you should use because this is the best option. It actually makes explosions, which are really loud, super quiet, and then it makes the quiet noises like footsteps and things like that a lot louder, which is good because footsteps are a lot more important for you to hear than an explosion. Master volume, this is preference based on your headset and other audio settings in your own PC. I like to keep the dialogue at 50. I still like to hear the operator's voices sometimes just so I know who's near me, and the rest of this stuff is preference. You should make sure you have push to talk on for voice chat input mode because no one wants to hear your dog yapping in the background or your mom telling you that it's time for you to eat dinner. No one cares. Keep this on push to talk so people don't have to hear that. Moving on to display. This is probably one of the more important ones, and I get a lot of questions like these all the time about what are the best settings. So I'm gonna tell you guys here, okay? So obviously resolution should be on 1920 by 1080 at minimum. If you have a super PC and you can put up the settings after that, then go ahead, but that's on you. I have a medium, like mid-level PC, so I like to keep it on 1920 by 1080. Display mode full screen, this is also preference, but most people play on full screen. You want your refresh rate to be at the highest possible. I only have a 144 hertz monitor, so this is where the maximum setting is for me. So moving on to aspect ratio. I get a lot of questions about what is the best res or what res is gonna help you get more kills or win more games, and honestly, it's just preference. But in my opinion, there's three aspect ratios that you should be running if you don't know what to choose. 4:3 is really good because enemies are wider and stretched a lot more horizontally, but it's also good to know that people will move a lot quicker going horizontally across your screen. So if you're not somebody who has crazy reaction time like me, I would recommend using one of the other two, which are 3:2 and 16:10. 16:10 is like native 16:9, but it is a little bit more zoomed in, so the enemies are a little bit wider. And 3:2 is the same thing, but it is more zoomed in, if that makes sense. So I would say use 4:3, 16:10, or 3:2. You're gonna keep VSync off. Your SPF limit should be off so that you have the maximum amount of FPS when you're playing. And field of view, this is preference, but I don't think you should go anywhere under 83. I just don't see a reason to do that. I personally, right now, I run 16:10-90 or I run 3:2 86. Right now, I'm playing 16:10-90. The display area for the HUD in the menu, that's completely completely preference to you. Moving on to the graphics quality. I want to make sure that you guys understand that performance is always better than quality. You want to get the most performance and FPS that is possible. No matter what build you have, the higher your settings, the lower amount of FPS you're going to get. So we're going to make sure all of these settings on this list are on low except for shadow quality. So you want shadow quality to be on medium at least, but I like to have it on high because then you can see enemies' shadows before they swing you. This becomes super useful because then you can get information without actually seeing the enemy. If you have shadows off, you might not know if someone's swinging you on a certain spot, and there are usually spots like this on every single map where you can see a shadow before you see the enemy. So overall, we're going to put all of these things on low. I have shading quality on medium just because I like it like that, but we're going to put everything on low or off. A lot of people like to put anti-aliasing on, and they'll use TAA or FXAA. I personally think that with it off, the game looks a lot better and you don't have to worry about it being blurry, but I also have a medium level PC. So I would say benchmark and auto detect and see what is best for your own PC and do your own research based on this. So moving on to controls, and the first setting on this list is raw input. Raw input allegedly had a bug back in the day, but to be honest, I don't think anyone really knows if it works or if it doesn't work. So without even getting into all of that Siege lore, just go ahead and turn this off so you don't have to worry about it at all. Now moving on to mouse sensitivity. This is all preference and based on how you like to play. Not everybody is really good with a high sense being flicky leany, and not everybody is good with a low sense playing kind of slow and more methodical. But I personally play on 400 DPI, 11 hip fire. For my 1x, I play 46, and for my 2.5, which is ACOG, I play 71. I don't use 3.5, 5.0, or 12, so honestly, these settings don't even matter to me. Okay, that's up to you guys. Okay, moving on to mouse scroll. This is preference, but most people turn it off so that if they're in a gunfight and they accidentally scroll with their mouse, it does not switch guns for them, which can be pretty troublesome. And it actually happens to me, so I'm actually going to turn this off right now. Gadget deployment, we're going to leave this on advanced, as well as drone deployment on advanced. So if your gadget deployment is on advanced, this basically means if you're Jaeger and you pull out a ADS, he'll be holding it like this before he places it on the wall. If it is on normal, he's going to automatically place it on the wall, which can be troublesome if you actually don't want it in that spot. And same thing for drone deployment. When this is on default and you throw a drone, you're going to automatically get on your phone and start droning. When it's on advanced, you're able to throw a drone and then wait and then decide when you want to get on the drone, which is a lot more useful, especially if there's enemies around or you're trying to wait for sound or bait out a kill with the drone. For aim, lean, sprint, crouch, prone, and walk, these are all preference, but what I will say for new players and players who don't know what to do with this, just leave this on default. As you can see, I have aim on hold, lean on toggle, sprint on hold, crouch toggle, prone toggle, and walk on hold. These are all the default settings. I don't mess with these. When you do change these, it's a huge change, and it also goes against what other FPS games do, so I would say just leave these on default. Moving on to accessibility. Before we even get into the optic, color, and opacity, I'll say turn screen shake off. So screen shake is basically where if a nade or C4 or something explodes near you, your entire screen will shake, which will make it harder for you to hit your target and get a kill. So I will say turn screen shake off and make it easier for yourself. Don't make the game harder. Moving on to optic, color, and opacity. There are 3 colors that most people use that are really good for every single map that don't blend into anything. And it's default, green, and yellow. Me personally, I like to switch between green 100 and red 100. So thank you guys for watching this video, and let me know down in the comments if this video helped you out at all. Peace.